Idlewild is the sixth studio album by American hip-hop duo Outkast, released August 22, 2006 on LaFace Records. It also serves as the soundtrack album to the duo's musical film of the same name, released by Universal Pictures in August 2006. Containing themes relating to the music industry, the album also features songs not included in the film and incorporates blues, R&B, jazz, and soul musical elements. The album debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200 chart, selling 196,000 copies in its first week. It achieved minimal international charting and produced 5 singles that attained moderate Billboard chart success. Despite mixed criticism towards its unconventional musical style and loose thematic structure, Idlewild received positive reviews from most music critics upon its release. The album has been certified platinum in sales by the Recording Industry Association of America for shipments of 1 million copies in the United States. Music: though less a soundtrack and more of a companion album, the Idlewild album features 7 songs from the Idlewild film, Granomantrophophobia, Makes No Sense at All, PJ and Rooster, Greatest Show on Earth, When I Look in Your Eyes, and, from the end credits, Morris Brown. 2 snippets of film dialogue are also included on the album as interludes. The rest of the songs performed in the film were included on the earlier Outkast LPs Big Boy and Represent. Outkast and Speakerboxx The Love Below. In an interview for Billboard, Big Boy stated, "This is an Outkast album. It isn't like a soundtrack where we go get this person or that person." The first single of the album, Mighty O, features both Andra Copyright 3000 and Big Boy. The song takes its lyrical hook from the Cab Calloway song Minnie the Moocher, and seems to be an example of the album's mix of hip-hop and more traditional American jazz and blues. Next, similar to previous Outkast albums such as Speakerboxx The Love Below, 2 singles, one solely by Big Boy, the other solely by Andra Copyright 3000 were released simultaneously. The second single, almost exclusively featuring Big Boy, is the marching band influenced Morris Brown, featuring guest artists Sleepy Brown and Scar, both artists on Big Boy's Purple Ribbon label. The song's title is a reference to Atlanta's Morris Brown College, with the school's marching band providing the instrumentation. The third single, Andra Copyright 3000's Idlewild Blue, delves into the blues genre, complete with a blues-style acoustic guitar riff and a harmonica element reminiscent of Aquemini's single Rosa Parks. In tune with the film, Idlewild reflects Outkast's original style tempered by 1930s influences. The fourth single, Hollywood Divorce, was released in November 2006, and features verses from Lil Wayne and Snoop Dogg and is produced by Andra Copyright 3000. Commercial performance: originally planned for early 2005, Idlewild Euro's release date was pushed to December 2005, before being delayed into 2006. The album debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200 chart with first-week sales of 196,000 copies. It also entered at number 1 on Billboard Euro's top R&B hip-hop albums, at number 1 on the top rap albums, and at number 2 on the top digital albums chart. The album dropped to number 7 on the Billboard 200, selling 78,000 copies in its second week. It spent 9 weeks on the Billboard 200. In the United Kingdom, Idlewild debuted at number 16 on the UK albums chart. It fell to number 28 in its second week on the chart. While it charted in the top 20 in several other countries, the album spent a minimal amount of weeks on most charts. On August 26, 2006, the album was certified platinum in sales by the Recording Industry Association of America, following shipments in excess of 1 million copies in the United States. It was certified gold in sales by the Canadian Recording Industry Association in November 2006. Critical reception: Idlewild received generally positive reviews from music critics. At Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from mainstream critics, the album received an average score of 72, based on 30 reviews. Q called it a dazzling album, while Ben Williams of New York found it entertaining and surprisingly consistent. The Guardian Euro Alexis Petridis wrote that it bulges with brilliant ideas. Ambitious but flawed, at turns stunning, maddening and confusing. NME Magazine's Dan Martin praised its uneven and self-indulgent style. Rob Sheffield of Rolling Stone compared Idlewild to Prince's Parade, while praising its deeply eccentric richness, and calling it so suave on the surface, it takes a few spins to absorb how radical it is. Although she felt it lacked cohesion and a clear message, Ann Powers of the Los Angeles Times found the album sonically challenging and lyrically wide-ranging, including songs for contemplation and booty shaking. In his Consumer Guide for MSN Music, Robert Christgau called Idlewild a joyous mishmash, and praised each Outkast member's distinct performance. From the mainstream hip-hop Big Boy articulates with so much muscle to the retro swing Andre sings just fine, they sound happy to parade their mastery. Uncut described it as stylish and substantial, it's a deft master pastiche that dissolves history for its own entertainment. Mojo stated, every time you think you've got Idlewild figured out, it zips off in a totally unexpected new direction. In a negative review for the Chicago Sun-Times, Jim DeRogatis viewed the album as unfocused and stated, it's all about heavy-handed, faux Scott Joplin ragtime piano. Showy but lame Cab Calloway horn arrangements. Fake Rudy Vallee crooning and ultra-hammy vaudeville shucking and jiving. The Washington Post SJ Freedom Dulac noted a creative schism in the duo and wrote, for all of its flashes of greatness, the brassy marching band rap of Morris Brown, the psychedelic hip-hop flashback train, the Stevie Wonder-inspired acoustic blues number Idlewild Blue, the staggeringly eclectic Idlewild includes too much filler and too many outright stink bombs to deserve a place alongside the best pop offerings of 2006, let alone a a Camino al. Preston Jones of Slant magazine called it frustrating, uneven, and strained. An interesting failure. Spin magazine's Charles Aaron called it a perplexing album, despite how it grasps for a distinctive sound, departing almost entirely from rap per se in favor of music from the jazz jump blues from the film's 30s/40s Demomond, as well as shades of Prince's most fitfully eclectic periods. Track listing, writing and production credits for Idlewild adapted from Discogs.com. Notes, in the album booklet, the producer for A Bad Note is listed as Johnny Vulture, which actually stands as a nickname for Andra copyright 3000. Sample credits, Mighty O contains a portion of the composition Minnie the Moocher written by Cab Calloway, Clarence Gaskill and Irving Mills, as performed by Cab Calloway. Peaches contains a sample from Cuss Words as performed by Too Short. The Train, Call the Law, Buggace, and PJ and Rooster contain dialogue from the film Idlewild. Personnel, credits for Idlewild adapted from AllMusic. Chart history, chart procession and succession, references. External links, Idlewild at Discogs, Idlewild at Metacritic.